Because if he says, no, it's not lawful to pay tribute to Caesar, they're going to rush him right over to the governor, and that's going to be it. Insurrection. That he's causing an insurrection among the people. A tax revolt. They were hoping. But if he said, yes, it's all right, pay taxes to Caesar, pay taxes and so forth, then the people are going to be upset. The congregation is going to be upset out there because the coins had a picture on them, an inscription of Caesar. It was a graven image, quite obviously. And thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image. And if he would sanction those coins, he would be in trouble with the commandment of Moses, which is a commandment of God. In fact, the Pharisees had a deal going on there. When the people came in with their Roman money, they forced them to exchange it for temple money. Two kinds of money. The Romans had money with an image on it, and the Pharisees, the international bankers, had another kind of money that was plain, just metal, whether it be gold or silver. In order for them to give any money to God, they said, you can't give him any money that has an inscription on it or an image on it. You can't do that. So you've got to exchange it. Remember the tables of the exchangers that Jesus tipped over? Well, it wasn't for face value. There was arbitrage. You know what arbitrage is? That's when you make money on an exchange. Like if you go in and let's say you've got some Canadian money, you go down to an international banker, a teller, and they will say, well, we have a buy rate and we have a sell rate. And the difference between the buy rate and the sell rate is arbitrage, to make money on money. Well, they were swindling the people drastically. They would take they were glad to get the Roman money. Bring it on. Here's temple money. Now, take that and then pay your tithe and give into the... Boy, you talk about a double-dipping deal. In the first place, they inflated their temple money, and then they get it back. It's kind of like fractional reserve lending with the bankers. I was talking to the banker about that one time. I said, you got quite a deal going on here because people deposit $1,000 and then you start to think it's yours. It's really theirs, but now you think it's yours. Now you take that $1,000 and you loan out $10,000 on it, $9,000 of which doesn't even exist, and you draw interest on all that non-existent money and charge people all that interest, and then you pay a little bit of interest, and I do mean a little bit, on that $1,000 they put in. I said, you can get rich in a game like that. Huh? You could build big buildings, skyscrapers, right? We have to realize this whole world is a swindle because Satan is in it. Satan refers to himself as the God of this world. When he was thrust out of heaven, he wanted to take over something, and he's a very religious being. That's why you have Barack Obama's and Hillary Clinton's claiming to be Christian when they're anything but. And people willing to buy into that. Come on, I think that picture of Hillary up there on the bulletin board is very appropriate, where she's standing there giving a speech, and behind her is a Satan's head that just happened to be on the wall. Horns and everything. She said that she believes in the Father, Son, and Holy Ghost, but when they asked her the question, do you believe that Jesus is the only way of salvation? She said, well, no, I'm open on that one. Do you know any true Christian who was open on that one? But there are people who say, oh, wonderful Christian, look at her smile. But I'll tell you, sometimes she'll rant and rave, and I'll tell you why she's so mad. She's still mad about the house that fell on her sister. Anyway, so here in the temple, the question was asked, is it lawful for us to give tribute unto Caesar or no? But he perceived their craftiness and said unto them, why tempt ye me? Why are you testing me? Show me a penny. A penny, of course, was a denarius. We think of a penny as one of these little copper slugs, which isn't even copper anymore. Remember when the pennies used to have a ring to them? Now they get this flat sound. That's because there's a little zinc in there, and they just kind of color it like a penny. It costs 2.5 cents to make a penny. They don't like pennies. It costs 7.5 cents to make a nickel. So they're going backwards. Of course, it takes a gallon and a half of fuel to make 1 gallon of alcohol. You're going backwards there, too. It's all a big game, isn't it? But a penny here isn't this, they used to be real copper. What happened? But, the penny here is the denarius, which is worth about $32. Roughly $32. If you remember your Roman coins, if you ever studied that, they had a big coin, too, called an aurum, and that was, of course, aurum means gold in Latin. But the aurum was worth $800. And, of course, this particular coin, the denarius, was worth about $32 and a day's wages. Remember, it talks about the men that worked all day and they received their penny? That's about what we get after taxes. But anyway, show me a penny, he said. Whose image and superscription hath it? They answered and said, Caesar's. Got his picture right there. And right on that coin it says Pont Max. Pontmax. Which stands for Pontifex Maximus, or Great Pontiff. That's what Caesar was called. Is there any religious leader today that is known as the Great or Chief Pontiff? And what does the word pontiff come from? It comes from the same root that means to make a bridge. In other words, Pontius Pilate, same thing. One who is able to get you across the river. One who has the power to get you from here to there. One who has the power to get you from earth to heaven. The bridge builder. Came from mythology, the river Styx, S-T-Y-X. That if you cross the river Styx, you will be in Never Never Land, or whatever kind of wonderland, or happy hunting ground, or whatever you want to call it. Get you across that bridge. That there's a man who can do it. No. God never puts another person's salvation in another man's hands. Never. Pontifex Maximus, Chief Pontiff. That's what was written on the coin. Well, I could go on and on with this pontiff thing and the effect that it has on people today. It's still, that spirit's in the world today. Where you can depend on a human being to save your soul. A father confessor, a pope, whatever have you. But Jesus said, whose image and superscription hath it? They answered and said, Caesar's. And he said unto them, render therefore unto Caesar, which means give, unto Caesar the things that be Caesar's, and unto God the things which be God's. Give to God what is God's, give to Caesar what is Caesar. What an answer. They weren't ready for that. They thought they had him. But how do you take hold of those words and use them against him? You can't. It says, and they could not take hold of his words before the people. And they marveled at his answer and held their peace. Now, how in the world are you going to argue with God and win? How could you use wisdom against the source of all wisdom? How can you twist the words of he whose words are perfect? As one soldier said one time, never man spake like that man. What a powerful answer he gave here. But they didn't stop. Now that the Pharisees bombed out, the Sadducees proudly stepped over and said, we'll get him. We'll get him.